Now then, we're in the glass house and it's that time of year. We've got various things happening already. I'm starting to dig over the last few parts of the veg plot. Now I know some people would say you should do a no dig because it helps with soil life, but on this ground, especially as it's been so wet all winter, the ground has consolidated quite a lot. It's had a lot of organic matter in it over the last 25-30 years, so it's improved from unrefined silt, but it still consolidates. More organic matter and maybe even a bit of sand in there will help, some form of grit just to keep it open. Anyway, of course, where you put in roots and carrots and whatnot, you don't want to put organic matter in that year, because otherwise it'll help or it'll encourage the forking of the roots. Besides that, it's where are we now? We're the end of March, so it's time to sow the carrots in loo roll tubes and then get them germinating in the warmth of the glasshouse or the conservatory. And also it's time to start sowing the tomato seed. So we're just going to crack on with that. We've got a cultivator in the background about 3 or 4 fields away, creating a bit of a background row, and believe it or not, we've just had a big aeroplane go over at high altitude, off to Spain or somewhere like that. What on earth is it doing? It shouldn't be there. I'll do a little rant about that later on. Anyway, let's have a look at this sowing of this tomato seeds. So that is some sifted compost. We got a huge, what I call a muck hill. Basically it was manure. It was big pile, about maybe, I don't know, 12 foot high, 20 foot deep, 30 foot long. It was built up over quite a few years and it's rotted down really well now, so we can sift that and it makes very good seed compost. However, you do get weeds in it, but there you go. Some things you just can't win. So I've already done some Ailsa Craig, and these are Roma. Okay, it's a hybrid, but I actually found that they germinate really well and they make very good tomatoes. They crack on with it, quite strong plants. But I don't sow that many, so we're just going to zoom in. I always end up with too many tomato plants anyway, so it's a matter of I only want about 3 or 4 plants, and that will be enough. So if you keep your seed in a comparatively cool and sealed place, it'll be all right for next year. Bit of compost over the top. Tamp it down and then label it. Simples. Keep it warm and keep them moist, not sopping wet. Don't let it dry out though. Don't let it dry out to a bone, or else they will not germinate. So in other words, you've got to pay attention, not let the mind wander, which is always a bit of a difficulty. So let's just write on here, Tom and it's Roma. There we go. So just water those in, turn that round, and there we go. Now then, carrots. What I tend to do is sow them in loo rolls. Just kicked a bucket there. So you fill the loo roll tubes up with compost, tamp it down a bit. You don't want it too loose or it just falls out the bottom. Yeah, and then just a couple of seeds in the top, and then put them in a tray like that. So I'll just crack on with that for a minute. So there we go. It's a little bit thick, that one, a bit too much. Right, now then, I can't remember whether I told you or not, but I do this way because we've got quite a heavy soil and it takes quite a long time to warm up in the spring, and this is a way of getting the carrots to germinate properly. If we were on sand with a sunny aspect and maybe further south, we wouldn't have the problem, but this is a way of getting round it. So we've got some seed here. This is Autumn King. Now, I was listening to the radio a couple of days ago, and one of these marketing type public relations half-wits from the airline industry was giving it the mouth, saying how wonderful airlines were and everything. Yeah, and you just had this overall feeling that this person would say whatever. Yeah, he's being paid to lie, basically. It's about time everybody. There was a pressure group or a group of people who were trying to influence the airlines a few years ago by demonstrating and whatnot, and they were called Plain Stupid, which is exactly what it is. But people will just have to get away. Yeah, they go, oh, let's go to Prague for the weekend. Sorry about that, but sometimes you just got to say it. About time people took responsibility for their actions. Oh, it's not my fault, I didn't know. Or the other one is, oh, I didn't think. Exactly. I don't need to label these because I know what's in them. There won't be anything else. I'm going to do some more because this is not enough. There we go. Okay, and the other thing that we've got going on is I've got a few more lettuce plants there. Winter lettuce, they grow on really well. Those were sown about, oh, I don't know, a month ago, something like that. And then potted on individually, and they're away now. So, and coming round here, just get my feet sorted out. There we've got small leek plants. They've just been potted on. I need to sow some more yet. But you know, we're thinking about next winter. And here's some of those tree seedlings, and they're the older, and I think they're all germinating. You remember we sowed some alder, oh, quite a while ago now. So there we are, or we collected alder seeds. Let's go and have a look at the rest of those lettuces that I planted out. And you see, they're really cracking on. As soon as they get put out, you know, give them plenty of rooting space. There's plenty of compost in that piece of bed there. And then next door to it, there's some kale and some purple sprouting. And they seem to do better in the glass house round here than outside. They don't get attacked by the pigeons, and you can control the cabbage white caterpillars on them. So we're just getting we've had one lot of purple sprouting off it. No doubt we'll have loads more. And on that kale there, all those small leaves are quite delightful. Now then, I cut some of the rant against air travel out of this because it wasn't very coherent. A lot of people over the last century have been saying that air travel is very bad, and I mentioned the pressure group Plain Stupid, and I fully agree with what they were talking about. So air travel is bad because it pollutes the atmosphere, and has been shown that increases the effects of a pandemic exponentially by spreading it everywhere very, very rapidly. Yeah, and it also, along with marketing, creates a desire for things that, and in that case it also creates a dissatisfaction with what's happening at the moment. I've also mentioned that I feel that going on holiday on an aeroplane to the other side of the world is a sign that you're dissatisfied with your life or your working life or your job, and those things need to be addressed as opposed to using a holiday as a sticking plaster. So marketing is basically designed to create a desire and create a dissatisfaction and a life that does not have a great deal of dissatisfaction is quite desirable. I mean, obviously dissatisfaction with racism and despotic governments is a good thing, but dissatisfaction with the mobile phone that you've got because it's 5 years old is a bad thing. So I could go on forever and ever and ever about this, right, making more and more examples, but there's no point. You can always make your own examples up. But being satisfied, being content, is the way to a peaceful life. Hopefully that makes sense. This is edit number 3 because it's difficult to get this into a nice smooth sounding audio, but I will catch up with you soon. Cheers for now. What are you doing in the sky? Get out of there. Stop creating a nuisance.